eardrum, you know, and we're using that and we're sharing. And as a political model, trying to put something together like musics, which, you know, walking around a table and running out of ink and needing fresh plates for the printing machine and all of these things, you know, they're all kind of struggles to get the thing out. I'm not trying to make it, I hope I'm not trying to make it sound so worthy, though, you know, because it's fun. That's the thing. And whatever that musical song is.
It's fun and it's holy.
Have a little fun, you know. Yeah.
No, I mean, the continuity is really interesting because it's like, you know, I find, you know, seeing young people introduced to this music, and it's just like they're interested in is that knowing that their regard for it and their investigation into it, it's really no different than what was going on 40 years ago. It's just like it's always happening anew, and it's always rewarding. And you know, I find when I come here and I see John play, or I see Evan play, or I see Maggie play, it's just like, to me, it's just like it's a study, and you're watching, and it's you're always learning. I mean, you know, I can learn from pop bands and rock bands as well, but there's something much more sort of it's an engagement that deals with this idea that the listener and the player are really are in equal space.
Well, there's another point about that relates to music and musics, is that and yourself, Thurston. Thurston reminds me of somebody who's a fennec, you know, the desert fox with the. And their ears are fantastic. They go everywhere, like checking everything out, 360 degrees.
I feel like a giraffe, but thank you.
All right, but it's actually that. So musics, calling it musics, not a music, not improvised musics, is that people were listening to all sorts of stuff, like Thurston's referring to, and like Thurston, were listening to all sorts of stuff to supply and inform what it was they were doing in improvising, to find material that was, you know, useful for improvising. Because certain sounds you play and you think, oh, that's going to do that, you know, shave and a haircut, 2 bits. If you play shave and a haircut, you're going to have 2 bits at the end, so shave and a haircut isn't a good piece of improvising material, if you see what I mean. So we're looking for all sorts of stuff. So in there you've got references to all kinds of music around the world, because I think that's also important, and that's also to do with something we were talking about, that common humanity as well.
Yes. Well, I think just to be responsible for our time here,
Yes.
The program tonight is certainly this conversation, and we're going to lead into the wonderful music of Philip Waxman, who's very important and integral to a lot of the history that goes on in this magazine, certainly in world improvised music. Philip Waxman is somebody I've always been completely into and interested and fascinated by through his work with the violin and his interplay with so many other musicians, and as proprietor of Bead Records, which is one of the great archives of improvised music from the 70s and onwards. Anyway, so that's what we're going to go into right now. Philip Waxman is going to set up and play some music, and then we'll take a little breather, and then John and I are going to play guitar, and that should do it for at least tonight. Thank you, everybody.